Hey all, this is Jim with Sound Tripping. I'm here beside my beloved Marantz Model 1040 stereo amplifier, and I've just been listening to the second volume of the A Very Merry Christmas series, which was issued at the W.T. Grant's stores all across America back in the late 60s. This is volume 2. We looked at volume 1 in a previous video, and I'm trying to march through each one in this series of Christmas reviews. So let's get right down to business. Let me read you the jacket copy here and give you a sense of who we're going to be listening to. Christmas time is much more than just a holiday or a season. It's a spirit, a feeling, a state of mind, and the significance, the beauty, the unique sparkle and glow of Christmas is never more vividly represented than in its songs. From the traditional, timeless carols and hymns that reflect spiritual meanings to those very special popular songs that through the years have become so inseparably identified with Christmas. The most familiar and beloved of these songs are found in this beautiful album performed by many of the most talented and famous entertainers in the world. And goes on. That last description is accurate because if you compare this to volume 1, you're getting a much more traditional set of songs here. But let's go into side 1, and I'll share some observations about the songs that I hear as I listen to it. So we start with Joy to the World by Mitch Miller and the gang. This is full-throated a cappella performance. It sets a nice regal tone, just vocals, which is kind of an interesting way to start. Track 2 is Oh Holy Night by Robert Goulet. You would think Goulet's voice is well suited to this kind of material. He has these operatic pipes, and it is. If that's what you want to hear from the song, he does deliver the goods. But if you go back to volume 1 and you hear Johnny Mathis's version of Oh Holy Night, which for my money is more sensitive, it's more dramatic, a more dramatic reading. I prefer Johnny's version to Bob Goulet. It Came Upon a Midnight Clear comes number 3, and that's by Anita Bryant. Anita delivers a straight arrow performance here. There's nothing too special. They do insert an unnecessary modulation about midway through. It kind of comes very abruptly. And then just as abruptly, a third modulation sends this like well over the top. It's just too serious for me. And I actually kind of felt depressed when I got to the end of the song. It doesn't seem to me to be the kind of song that you would want to make people feel sad at the end. I just felt she was taking herself too seriously. Next is Sleigh Ride by Andre Kostelanetz and his orchestra. I think this is a highlight on the album. It's a sprightly, fun version, a good pick-me-up after the droning pace of the previous track, and it comes as a big relief. Orchestra is in fine form, and they're clearly having a ball with it. Next is The Christmas Song by Steve Lawrence. It's got this nice, lovely, sort of sweeping string introduction. Steve's just a nice lounge crooner, and he sinks into this song with a lot of verb. Just don't imagine Bill Murray from the old Saturday Night Live show singing this in a dive bar, and you'll be fine. It can easily edge into that territory, but I think Steve kind of maintains this balance here. He gives it the velvet glove treatment. And his vocals, at least on this song, to me, they kind of fall somewhere between Mel Torme and Frank Sinatra. That's a good place to be. It's a nice cover. Next is O Little Town of Bethlehem, Mahalia Jackson. And it's time for a dose of gospel here. She's got the pipes, and she invests this song with a lot of soul, plenty of embellishments, and this kind of slows the pace of the tune down, gives us a chance to reflect on the spiritual depths in this chromatic melody. It's an arresting cover. It makes me want to get on my knees and pray. Then we finish side 1 with New Christy Minstrel's cover of Here We Come a-Caroling. It's a fun song. Singing groups were really big in the 60s. And the Minstrels serve up a real fast-paced romp through this one. It doesn't really work to me. It's just a little too nerdy and square, but some of you might like it. Side 2 opens with Jingle Bells by Jim Nabors, otherwise known as Gomer Pyle. Jim doesn't add a whole lot to this song, a little bit at the end, which I'll talk about. The arrangement does have some nice twists to it, but it's very vanilla flavored, just kind of a 60s period piece. I do prefer it, I think, to the Jingle Bells that appeared on Volume 1 by Jimmy Dean. And I like what Jim did with the outro vocal. Like, he kind of goes Jingle Bells, and it's pretty fun. Following that is Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, Doris Day. Doris nails this one. Her intonation is spot on. Her phrasing, super expressive. It's just beautiful. And I love that she prefers the muddle through somehow lyric towards the end of the song, which in a lot of versions gets changed to something more positive. And that always gets extra credit points with me. This is an album highlight. Then we move to a Johnny Mathis cover of Silver Bells. Johnny's got that vibrato in high gear on this one, and his phrasing really does justice to the lyric. It's a little slow paced, but it's a really nice cover. I like the twinkling bell sounds in the background. It's atmospheric. And it sounds to me like he does a bridge or it's an extra verse towards the end that I don't usually hear with Silver Bells. So that was kind of nice as well. Then we move to an instrumental by Skitch Henderson and his orchestra. We Need a Little Christmas. It's a lovely timepiece. This track sounds like it could be on a TV soundtrack, like the Jetsons or something. He was, for a time, the band leader for the Johnny Carson Tonight Show, so it kind of fits in there. It's a nice little instrumental interlude, and then that takes us to Johnny Cash. I Heard the Bells on Christmas Day. It's great to hear Johnny in that full-throated, deep voice. It always sounds like he's got like kind of 1 foot in the grave, but he really makes you listen and pay attention. It's a straightforward cover, but with a voice like that, you don't need to oversing it or ornament it, and I think it's a highlight. Then we go to White Christmas, Edie Gourmet. I just love Edie, both Steve and Edie. They're fun. They did so much great stuff in the 60s. She acquits herself quite well on this one, gives it a nice dramatic reading. And then we move to What Child Is This? And the Holly and the Ivy by Bing Crosby. Bing's a Christmas staple. His music is about as classic as it gets. I love his crooning style and how he leaves a lot of air between his phrases. And he's got a choir behind him too, kind of picking up the slack. And you're really struck just by how good so many of these singers were back in the day. Man, could they sing. And I do think The Holly and the Ivy is a nice pick-me-up after the kind of plotting, what child is this? So yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong with Bing Crosby on Christmas music. And then we finish side 2 with Silent Night, Holy Night, the Mormon Tabernacle Choir and the New York Philharmonic, conducted by Leonard Bernstein. The choir is fine. The orchestra sounds beautiful, but I think I prefer Silent Night more in a more intimate setting, just like a solo piece. But it's a nice way to finish off the album. So the highlights for me on side 2 would be the Doris Day, the Johnny Mathis, the Johnny Cash, and let's give a nod to Edie Gourmet as well. So in my final assessment here, Volume 2 of A Very Merry Christmas doesn't have the deep track rarities that you find on Volume 1, and for that reason, I prefer Volume 1. But don't get me wrong, this is nice. It's a vintage 60s Christmas music album on vinyl. I believe this came out in 1968, and it would make a pleasant backdrop when having friends and family over to visit. The tempos are a little on the sluggish side, so it's not the kind of album that's going to kick off your holiday party with a lot of verve. It's better for maybe when things are starting to wind down, people are leaving, drifting away, and you're cleaning up, and you just want to put some soft Christmas music on as you settle down by the fireplace. As we move to volumes 3 and 4 of the Grant's Christmas albums, I think you're going to find them reaching their peak. They are my favorites, and I'm really excited to share them with you. Now, there's one final note I'll put in here. In the album, sometimes you find ephemera. So this was stuck in the behind the inner jacket, inner sleeve. Here's an envelope. Christmas record offer, P.O. Box 6700, Clinton, Indiana. And inside here, you get an advertisement for Volume 1. So in case you missed Volume 1 of A Very Merry Christmas, you could put a check or money order in the envelope and order it. And then inside this, there's a little ad. Take a look at this vintage 60s ephemera. A wonderful record deserves a wonderful phonograph. And here on the inside, you can choose from 4 different models of phonographs that Grant's was selling. These were called Bradford phonographs. Pretty fun. And they ranged in price from, I think, $100, $99.95, all the way down to $17.95. Okay, and then on the back, check this out. The credit terms were quite generous. So you've got, you're invited to open a Grant's credit account. Never a down payment. Take up to 2 years to pay, depending on your balance. It only takes a minute to apply. Ask any salesperson. It can be used coast to coast. Save today the Grant's Credit way. I mention this because Grant's went bankrupt in 1976, largely due to the fact that they would extend credit to anybody, and you could open credit accounts at each individual Grant's store. And a lot of people just would open a credit account and never pay. So you can see, like, those are great terms, but, you know, maybe not a great way to run your business. But anyway, I'm thankful that Grant's issued these albums because they're really fun. And this was A Very Merry Christmas Volume 2. You'll find this pretty easily in the used record stores and the charity shops. Let me know what your comments are, if you love this album or you like certain renditions on it. And click the subscribe button, click the bell for notifications, and I always appreciate your likes too. So hope you enjoyed this, and pretty soon we'll be on to Volume 3. Thanks.